Your edits aren't getting views? The truth is, your intro is weak. You gotta be catchy, funny, or creative. Hey designers, as you have requested me, here is a tutorial for you with the Talking Visuals edit. It's going to be a very beginner-friendly tutorial, and I really hope you'll find it easy to understand and learn from. So, let's get started. I'll begin by creating a new composition. After that, I'll import the files needed for this project. These are the videos and images that I'll be using, and I'll be providing you with a link to download these images in case you want to follow along with the same files. You can simply click the link and download them. First of all, let's select the background and import it into the project. Okay, drag and drop it onto the timeline. This is a moving paper texture that we're going to use as the background. Now let's import these two videos into the project. After importing them, drag and drop them onto the timeline as well. We'll need to adjust their scale, so press S for scale and scale them up as needed. Then adjust the position of both videos to fit nicely on the screen. We're going to lock the paper background because we don't want it to move throughout the video. Now select both video layers and align them on the page. Adjust their position and alignment to make sure they look balanced. Now right-click on this one video layer, go to Layer Styles, and choose Drop Shadow. Then go to the Drop Shadow options and start adjusting the settings. First, increase the distance to see the effect clearly, and give the shadow a color of your choice. After that, set the distance back to 0, and instead increase the size and spread to make the shadow look softer and more prominent. You can adjust these settings depending on your style or how you want the effect to look. It's totally up to you. When you're happy with the drop shadow settings, go ahead and select all of the layer styles. Press Ctrl+C to copy them. Now select the second video layer and press Ctrl+V to paste the same effects onto it. Perfect. Now let's move both of these videos so they're centered horizontally on the screen. Alright, next we'll add some text. Select the text tool and click anywhere on the composition to type your text. After that, adjust the paragraph spacing as needed. Highlight the text and align it to the center. Increase the size of the text so it stands out. Pick a font of your choice, and then adjust the fill and color of the text according to your design preference. Now go to the Effects and Presets panel and search for Glow. Apply the glow effect to the text layer by double-clicking on it or dragging it onto the layer. Once it's applied, increase the glow radius to make the glow more visible and soft. Now, select this glow effect, press Ctrl+C to copy it, and then press Ctrl+V to paste another glow effect onto the same text layer. For this second glow, decrease the glow radius and also lower the glow intensity to give a subtle, layered glow effect. Now that we've added the glow, we'll apply a text animation. Go back to Effects and Presets and search for a text animation called Typewriter. Double-click on it to apply it to the text layer. Select the text layer and press U on your keyboard to reveal the keyframes of the typewriter text effect. Now, move the second keyframe closer to the first one to make the typewriter animation play faster. If it still feels too slow or too fast, you can adjust the second keyframe again until you're happy with the speed. Now go to Layer in the top menu, hover over New, and create a new adjustment layer. We'll be applying a blur effect to this layer. So, head over to Effects and Presets and search for Gaussian Blur. Apply this effect to the adjustment layer by dragging it onto the layer or double-clicking it. Next, click on the stopwatch icon next to blurriness to create the first keyframe. Then press U to view the keyframe timeline for this layer. Move the playhead a few frames forward and increase the blurriness value to create a second keyframe with a stronger blur. Let's preview the animation. The idea is that once the typewriter text animation ends, there's a pause for a second or two, and then the blur effect slowly fades in. At this point, select the text tool again, but make sure no layer is selected and write your next line of text. Let's give this text a different color, maybe a mustard or yellowish tone to make it stand out. Increase the size of the text so it's more visible. Then align it both vertically and horizontally in the composition. Adjust any other settings of the text to your liking. Next, go to Effects and Presets and search for Drop Shadow. Apply the drop shadow effect to this text layer. Change the color of the drop shadow to complement the text. Increase the distance and softness to soften the shadow edges. You can also adjust the direction of the drop shadow to control where the shadow falls. I'm choosing a darker shade to add contrast. Decide exactly when this text should appear. Watch carefully at the moment when the blurriness effect starts. Once you find that point, trim the text layer so it begins right there. Select the text layer and press S for scale. Click the stopwatch icon next to scale to create the first keyframe. Move the playhead a few frames forward and add a blank keyframe. Then move a few more frames forward and add another blank keyframe. Move the playhead back to the first keyframe and set the scale to 0. This will make the text invisible at the start. Move to the second keyframe and decrease the size to about where you want it smaller but visible. Then move to the third keyframe and increase the size to normal. Adjust the spacing between the letters if needed. Let's preview this animation. Okay, it's animating, but we don't want it to smoothly scale up like that. Instead, we want the text to jump directly to the new size on the keyframe itself. Select all the keyframes, right-click on one of them, and choose Toggle Hold Keyframe. Now when you preview, you'll see the text scales up instantly at the keyframe instead of animating gradually. Select all these keyframes and press Alt-right square bracket to trim them from the end at this position. Do the same for the video layers. Select them and trim their endpoints to match. Then, move the playhead one frame forward to the moment where all these layers and effects have disappeared. Take the text tool and type your text on the screen. Change the font to one you like. Then align the text both horizontally and vertically so it's centered nicely. Give the text a black color and decrease the font size to fit the design. After resizing, don't forget to adjust the paragraph spacing to keep everything balanced. Next, go to Effects and Presets and search for Fade Up Characters. Apply this effect to your text layer. Press U to reveal the keyframes for this animation. Select both keyframes and press F9, then move the second keyframe closer to the first one to speed up the fade effect. Preview it, and it should look good now. Now, import the image file you want to use. Drag and drop it onto the timeline. Since it's a very large picture, press S to scale it down to a suitable size. Place this image on the left side of the composition. After placing the image, adjust the position of the text layer so it sits nicely on the right side, balancing the overall layout. Select the PNG image layer, then move the playhead to the point where all the other images and videos have disappeared. Press Alt left square bracket to trim this layer so it starts exactly at that point. Now, make sure no layer is selected. Take the pen tool and draw a random circular shape around the text that says "weak." This shape will act as an outline when the text appears on the screen. If your shape has sharp corners, don't worry. Switch to the Convert Vertex tool by clicking, then click and drag on any corner anchor point. This will round the corners smoothly. Once you're happy with the shape, set its fill to none and give it a stroke so the outline is visible. Let's zoom in on the shape to adjust it more precisely. Once you're satisfied, open the properties of the shape layer, then go into Contents, stroke 1 again. Under Taper Options, increase both the start length and end length to about 50 to 60% to give the stroke a nice tapered look. Move this shape layer below the text layer in the layer stack. Next, increase the stroke width to make the outline more visible. Adjust the position of the shape so it perfectly surrounds the text, and if needed, tweak the scale slightly to fit better. Now, let's animate the outline to appear after the text animation finishes. First, trim the shape layer to start exactly at this point. Then go back to the shape layer's properties, click Add, and choose Trim Paths. Open Trim Paths, and set the start value to 100%. Click the stopwatch next to Start to create a keyframe. Move the playhead a few frames forward to the moment when the text is fully visible, and set the start value to 0%. Move the first keyframe closer to the second one to speed up the animation. Preview the animation and adjust the timing of the keyframes so that the outline draws smoothly right after the text animation completes, and decide exactly at which frame the animation should end. It looks like around the 7-second mark is a good point for all these animations to finish. Once you've identified that, select all the animated layers and press Alt-right square bracket to trim them at this frame. Move the playhead 1 frame forward so the screen becomes empty. Now, let's add an adjustment layer to create a visual effect for the next screen. Then, in Effects and Presets, search for the effect called Invert and apply it to this adjustment layer. Click the stopwatch next to Blend with Original to set a keyframe. Press U to reveal the keyframes. Move the playhead a few frames forward and add another blank keyframe there. Go back to the first frame of the adjustment layer and set the blend with original value to 100%. Finally, preview the entire animation to see how everything flows together with the invert effect transitioning smoothly at the end. Then select both keyframes and enable Toggle Hold Keyframe so the change happens instantly without any smooth animation. This way, the effect will switch on or off immediately. Next, import the cat pictures by going to Import Files and selecting the images. Drag and drop them onto the timeline. Move the playhead to the moment where the background inversion effect begins. At this point, trim these cat image layers by selecting them and pressing Alt-left square bracket to start them exactly where the inversion happens. Now, select 3 of these images, press S to scale them down, and position them neatly on the screen. Take your time to align them perfectly for a balanced and clean look. Once you're happy with the scale and placement, right-click on one of these layers, go to Layer Styles, and choose Stroke to add an outline effect to the images. Go to the stroke settings and choose a color that you like for the outline. Increase the stroke size until it looks balanced with the images. Then, open Effects and Presets and search for Roughen Edges. Apply this effect to the first image layer. Increase the border and the complexity to create a rough, textured edge look. Adjust the other settings like scale and evolution if needed to get the desired effect. After you're satisfied, select the stroke effect. Press Ctrl+C to copy it. Then select the other two PNG layers and press Ctrl+V to paste the stroke effect on them. Next, select the Roughen Edges effect on the first PNG. Copy it with Ctrl+C and paste it on the other two images as well using Ctrl+V. This way, all three images will have the same rough stroke effect applied. Now select all three layers and press P to open the position properties. Click the stopwatch icon next to position to set keyframes. Move the playhead a few frames forward and then adjust each layer's position individually. Move the first image downward. Do the same with the last one, and move the center image upward. This will create a subtle, dynamic movement with the images. What happened here is the animation is moving the images off the screen instead of bringing them onto the screen, which is the opposite of what we want. Mistakes like this are common, so don't worry. To fix this, select all the position keyframes for these image layers, then go to Keyframe Assistant and choose Time Reverse Keyframes. This reverses the animation so the images come onto the screen instead of moving away. After reversing, select all the keyframes again to adjust their timing so the animation looks smooth and natural. Also, check the adjustment layer's keyframes by selecting it and pressing U to reveal them. Make sure the second keyframe on the adjustment layer matches the timing of the image's keyframes. This will cause the screen to go black at the right moment, syncing perfectly with the images appearing. Finally, to complete this scene, add the text you want to show on the screen at this point. Use the text tool to write your text on the screen. Change the fill color to any color you prefer. Then, reduce the size of the text to make it smaller. Align the text both vertically and horizontally, and move it down slightly to position it nicely. Next, go to Effects and Presets and search for Glow. Apply the glow effect to your text layer and increase the glow radius to make it stand out more. After that, search for Drop Shadow in Effects and Presets and apply it to the text layer as well. Change the drop shadow color to some warm look. Adjust the softness and distance of the shadow to your liking, and set the opacity to 100% to make it fully visible. Remember, these effects and settings are optional. You can add multiple glows or other effects depending on your style and preference. Now preview the entire animation to see how it looks. And that's it. The video is complete. I hope this tutorial was easy to follow and that you learned something new today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Ace Designs for more great content like this. Your edits aren't getting views? The truth is, your intro is weak. You gotta be catchy, funny, or creative.